Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We have a new addition to the Ombré Leather family, Eau de Ombré Leather. Now, Ombré Leather is an extremely popular fragrance from Tom Ford, a unisex fragrance that is worn and loved by many. And I did just recently get my hands on the Eau de Ombré Leather, the new flanker in 2024. And if you're interested in seeing my first impressions, like my 100% real live first impressions, that video will be linked in the description below. But what we're going to be doing today is a more in-depth review of this fragrance and a side-by-side comparison with the other two fragrances. We're gonna go over what the differences are, the similarities, which one that I think is best, and hopefully by the end of this video, it'll help you make a decision on which Ombré Leather might be best for you. So we got the first Ombré Leather as part of the signature collection back in 2018. It is a true heartthrob from Tom Ford. Really popular and very nice. It's really this kind of straightforward leather white floral fragrance with a very slight kind of animalic undertone, which I want to say, I know that a lot of people, especially in the reviews of this line, they say that they get that kind of animalic touch. I don't really get a huge dose of it. I do get it the most in the Eau de Parfum, but it's really hardly there. Like, I don't really notice it when I'm smelling it on someone, but I have seen it be a complaint for some people. So it's definitely something that you need to try out on your skin first. But the notes in here, we have cardamom and leather with jasmine, amber, moss, and patchouli. Like I said, it's a pretty simple scent, simple notes. Really overall, you're just going to get this really pretty wearable leather white floral scent. Very balanced in that way. The opening of Ombré Leather Eau de Parfum, it just gets you. Like, it just smells very pleasant, especially for a leather dominant scent. To me, when I smell it, I just picture like a sexy cowboy. Like, it's interesting because there's a contrast, you know? It's like there's this side of it that makes me think like Wild West, sexy cowboy, but there's this other side to it as well because of that jasmine that makes it a little bit more dressy. And also the cardamom in here really gives it this kind of oriental flair that you find in basically all Tom Ford fragrances. The cardamom just adds a really nice kind of deep sensuality and something just a little bit extra kind of upscale. And that's why Tom Ford is really one of my favorite houses. It's kind of on the fence. Are they designer? Are they niche? It's kind of like up in the air, but we'll say it's designer. It's one of my favorite houses just because I love that kind of like unique twist that they do on all of their fragrances. This fragrance is a very deep leather that's really brightened up by this jasmine. And it has this slightly green undertone that adds kind of a like earthy spiciness coming from the patchouli. But honestly, that's really all you're going to get with this scent. It dries pretty linear. It's not really going to change at all. It's just gonna get a little bit warmer and denser into the dry down. It's a really nice kind of luxurious leather, like a new Mercedes-Benz or a BMW or a sexy cowboy, which will always be my favorite description. Very inoffensive, a very dressy leather scent, very wearable as well. It's a very straightforward scent and a great signature leather scent if that's what you're looking for. If you just want something leather, that's it, but something that feels clean and very versatile. Very strong performing as well. This is a scent that if you overspray, it's going to be like a walking bomb. But now let's go ahead and compare it to Ombré Leather Parfum. You can see the difference between the bottles with this white and then it says Parfum underneath. So you can see that both of these bottles are totally opaque. You can't see through them at all. It's a solid kind of matte black look. But after some years of the Eau de Parfum's growing success, Tom Ford gave us the first flanker, which is the Ombré Leather Parfum. Now, this came out in 2021, and this was really created to be a little bit more complex, a little bit more like dressy and more upscale. So really they're just adding some notes onto this Ombré Leather DNA to add a bit of a refinement to the scent. And you're definitely going to feel it right from the get-go. This is going to add notes of violet leaf, cedar, and orris to the scent, and a little bit of tobacco and wood. So definitely it's going to feel a little bit more dimensional and not so just, you know, not so simple as the Eau de Parfum. So in the opening of this, you're going to get a lot of these woods right away. And it's interesting to me because for me, the leather in the Parfum actually comes off a little bit rougher than the Eau de Parfum. Like, it doesn't feel quite as clean as it does in the Eau de Parfum, but it's balanced out and kind of covered up by these other like very elegant notes. Like, for example, in the Parfum, I get a lot of woodiness, and you really get this really pretty orris and violet leaf combination. It adds this really nice kind of sweetness with a little bit of a creamy, irisy orris undertone. It definitely comes off very, very creamy in the scent. And because of that, the leather is going to feel a little bit more toned down. It's not gonna feel like quite as leather dominant, but it's still there, don't worry. It's just that all these other notes kind of soften up that leather. And that orris butter, you guys, it is so masculine. And you still get this really lovely floral aspect. That violet leaf and the jasmine just adds a lot of beautiful kind of natural floral elements to the scent. And the tobacco in here adds a very nice kind of subtle spice in the background. It's very soft. And just a little fun fact, Ombré Leather, like the original #1 Ombré Leather, was actually released in 2016 as part of the private collection from Tom Ford. It was originally made to be a more easier to get along with leather scent than Tuscan leather. A lot of people, as you guys know, thought that Tuscan leather was a little rough. It's very famous for being known to smell like cocaine. So Tom Ford wanted to release something that was going to be a little bit easier to wear, a little more mass appealing than Tuscan leather, and then that was what they released in 2016, but it got discontinued like a year or a year and a half later, and then in 2018 we got the first Ombré Leather in the signature collection. But the private collection version also featured notes of violet leaf, so I really feel like there's closest similarities between this one and the 2016 version. But compared to the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum definitely feels more refined. It feels more finished. It's softer, not quite as harsh of a dominant leather, something that you can easily wear as a signature scent. But it's also amazing for an occasion. Suit and tie, fancy dinner, whatever you want to wear it to. And that tobacco comes out more as it dries too. Just wear it whenever you want to feel a little bit dressy. And it still performs loudly, but it's going to be a bit softer projecting than the Eau de Parfum, which also kind of adds to the classiness of the scent. Still going to be strong, but not quite as strong as the Eau de Parfum. More complex, more grown up than the Eau de Parfum. It's great if you like florals and a really nice creamy iris. So that is going to lead us up to the latest 2024 release, which is Eau de Ombre Leather. This literally just hit the shelves. It hasn't hit the shelves everywhere yet. I was very lucky to find this so early on. And this is meant to be a smoother, more mild take on that Ombre Leather DNA with a very sensual side. So Eau meaning water, you're going to assume that it's going to be like a more like a lighter, kind of airier version. I don't want to say watered down because that sounds so bad, but definitely something a little bit lighter. It's going to be fresher. And what this is going to add to the scent is going to be amber. You're going to get some ginger and coriander and a big dose of vanilla. It still has that classic cardamom and leather combination, but the ginger that is added in this is so pretty. It's done in such a creamy way. I love how the spices are done in the new Eau de Ombre Leather. It's semi-gourmand. Even right from the beginning, you get this really pretty vanilla, kind of like cookie-esque type of vibe, but done in a masculine way because of that leather. And this also is going to have an addition of Ambrofix, which is like a type of ambroxan. And the Ambrofix in this fragrance is what is really going to give it this airy element, because the notes in this fragrance are actually a little bit typically on the dark side, which is why I was really confused when I smelled this for the first time, because one, we're in summer, and I was assuming Eau de Ombre Leather, the fresher version, was going to be something a little more summery, maybe fruitier or something like that. But what they gave us is actually, in my opinion, like the perfect fall and winter scent. Like the spices in this, it's very cozy. It smells like Christmas and just so welcoming and inviting. Like I love this scent profile. It's so comforting. But the ambroxan in this is really what's going to make it feel very bright to balance out those heavier, typically heavier notes. But they're not done heavily in this scent. It has a transparency to this scent, which you'll also see with the bottle. Is the first, semi-transparent bottle. It's not a solid matte bottle like the other two. The opening is so appealing. It is hands down the most appealing ombre leather. And you get all of the notes at once. You get these spices and this rich vanilla with cardamom all on top of this beautiful bed of leather, like a suede leather. And the ginger adds a bit of freshness in the opening, but once again, it comes off very creamy. Creamy spices, creamy luxurious cardamom. It is so alluring. Semi-gourmand, like I said, you get this side that's almost slightly edible, like this kind of cookie, like ginger cookie, snickerdoodle type of vibe, but it's not totally gourmand. It is very balanced, and it's going to have something that makes it feel more wearable as a fragrance versus being just like a straight up Christmas gourmand. This is also going to be the most unisex because of that vanilla. It's going to make it appealing, more appealing for both women and men. I know that a lot of women like to wear ombre leather, but this is going to, I think, open the door for many more women to try out this line. I think that you could relate this fragrance to things like Starlight by Xerjoff. Doesn't really have that almondiness, but kind of in that category. And the cardamom in this really reminds me of how the cardamom is done in oud wood. So I think that in 2024, if you're wanting something different, the new Eau d'Ombre leather would be a great alternative for oud wood. It just has this deep sensuality to it. And in my opinion, the sexiest version of ombre leather because of that sweeter side, that semi-edible side that's just so sexy. But it's not too sweet. I don't wanna make you think that it's going to be over the top, like sugary sweet. It's not at all. The vanilla in this really comes off very natural, like a raw vanilla bean. It's not like a sugary sweet vanilla at all. And something also like a sweet, rich, resinous feel in the scent as well. It is so good. Now, the performance on Eau d'Ombre leather is going to be the softest, which should be expected because that's literally what Tom Ford is telling us, that this was meant to be a softer, more mild version of ombre leather. In my testing, each time that I've worn it, I've gotten a solid anywhere from 5 to 7 hours on my skin, which is not bad at all. It's totally doable. And I think that it makes it even better as like a sexy nighttime date night scent. But the thing is with this that I think that people are going to be let down a little bit is that it's not going to really project hardly at all. After the first like hour and a half, 2 hours, this really comes very close to the skin. It's really the type of scent that I've found that you need to get close to really smell. But the thing is that I noticed that if you're moving around, you will get like wafts of it in the air. And I could smell it on myself basically the entire time that I was wearing it. It's not something that I think that you're going to go nose blind to. So in that way, it's also comforting to wear for yourself. Like if you want something that's just very cozy, it's a great option because this really has this calming, very soothing effect to it. I love it. It's just so good. For me, it's going to be my favorite ombre leather, especially because I know that this is one that I will wear all the time, and I'm definitely going to be buying a bigger bottle because it's hard to believe that this little thing is 50 ml, but I think I definitely need 100. To me, this fragrance really has this kind of like iconic feel to it, like that same iconicness that you can find in things like Oud Wood Parfum. Now, I would compare this more to the Parfum, Oud Wood Parfum, than Oud Wood, because it has that density to it, that richness. And it's just about 1.5 cheaper than Oud Wood Parfum. I think that it's very versatile, but the scent profile is going to be better for summer nights, fall, winter, and spring. But it's so cozy and intimate that you can really wear it whenever you'd like. I love it, and I know I'm going to be wearing it a lot. So guys, that was just a side-by-side comparison of all three flankers of ombre leather from Tom Ford. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and hopefully it helped you to decide which ombre leather is going to be best for you. I think it's an amazing, very high-end, affordable line from Tom Ford that is definitely worth checking out, especially if you like leather. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below which ombre leather is your favorite. Are you interested in trying the new Eau d'Ombre leather? I would love to know what you think. I appreciate each and every one of you so much, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.